We go to a loss in the Senate.
What?
But a win for America?
What?
South Carolina. Over the weekend, Senator Lindsey, there wasn't a war I didn't like Graham, and
It's true.
avid Trump supporter,
It is what it is.
passed away due to sudden illness at the age of 71.
Oh my God!
I'm Jez Berganzo on this. Last we saw the senator, he was in Ukraine meeting up with Zelensky. Say what you will. But it's what's next. Hey, happy Monday, ladies and gentlemen. Jez Berganzo, what's next? Your daily dose, common sense, facts, and salt. Hope you guys are feeling good today on this Monday. Well, of course, as always, it's a new day, a new week, a new bullshit. But new day, yes. Is it bullshit? Depending on how you look at it, but it's tragic. What am I talking about? Well, I'm sure over the weekend everyone's heard that Senator Lindsey Graham out of South Carolina at the age of 71 passed away due to sudden illness. But prayers and thoughts to the family. But more importantly now, it focuses on the Senate, the votes, and how does it affect Donald Trump's agenda. And we're going to find out. And here we go. This coming out of the New York Post. Lindsey Graham's sudden death could hamstring Trump's Senate agenda after rogues and Mitch McConnell cut margin. And Ditch Mitch? Yeah, we're going to talk about him a little bit as well. Washington. The tragic and sudden death of Senator Lindsey Graham left a void of the Senate and shrunk the GOP's majority in the upper chamber while sparking a mad dash to fill his shoes. Graham, 71, passed away from a brief and sudden illness Saturday evening in the South Carolina Senate office revealed. His tragic passing means Republicans' edge of Senate would slip down to 52-47, but that's only on paper. There is ongoing concerns about the health of Senator Mitch McConnell, 84, who is currently hospitalized because of a quote-unquote fall. There are several Republican lawmakers, including Senator Rand Paul, lame duck Senator Thom Tillis, and Bill Cassidy, who have been shy about splitting the party up recently, especially on Iran and other foreign policy issues. Meanwhile, South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster will have to tap a temporary replacement to serve out the remainder of Graham's term, and Republicans will have to name a successor to him on the powerful Senate Budget Committee. Because Graham was set up for a re-election and had just won the primary just last month, a special GOP primary to replace him as the party's nominee in the Senate will likely occur by August 11th. Already Firebrand, Representative Nancy Mace, is strongly considered tossing her hat in the ring to replace him. One name that was floated above that was Representative Joe Wilson, representative, out of South Carolina, who appeared to bat down rumors that he might pursue it. My goal is to remain in the House to keep his two-term majority vote for the Senate for the American people, he posted X on Saturday. Another possible contender is Lieutenant Governor Pamela Everett. Trump initially backed her in the gubernatorial primary before endorsing Attorney General Alan Wilson, who went off to win the runoff. She had also been backed by McMaster in the primary. I have somebody that I would think is great, but I don't want to say it now because it's too soon with Lindsey. Trump told NBC News, Meet the Press, who might replace Graham. Beyond the Senate seat, Graham has been a key and foreign policy luminary with deep connections to U.S. allies around the world and a leading voice in the Senate on those issues. And of course, that's Mitch McConnell. Yeah. He had met with Ukraine President Zelensky prior to his sudden death. Again, say what you will, Graham was widely seen as more prominent hawk in either chamber of Congress. Additionally, he had a record of working across the aisle. He was able to deal with Democrats, Trump recalled of Graham. If I had a problem, a real problem, I would often ask, but if I had a problem with a Democrat, he could work it out. He was a great politician. He's going to be appreciated more now than he was when he was alive, I think, the president later added. Throughout Trump's second term, Republicans have been spent more time worrying about the ultra-slim House majority rather than the Senate, where Vice President J.D. Vance also serves as the tiebreaker. Prior to his death, Graham led the Senate Budget Committee, which was also set to play a pivotal role in advancing the follow-up to One Big Beautiful Bill Act that would have centered around President Trump's beefed-up defense budget requests. Getting the follow-up bill was always an uphill battle for Republicans. One potential agenda item was the Safeguard American Voters Eligibility Act, the Save America Act, which would require voters to show proof of citizenship to cast their ballots, transparency, and integrity in elections. Yeah, that looks like it might be in jeopardy. Of course, that's Graham with Ukraine's President Zelensky. Okay. Democrats had blocked using the filibuster, but some Republicans eyed the budget reconciliation process, something Graham was set to lead as a workaround to avoid the 60-vote requirement. Trump had discussed the Save America Act with Graham on the phone not long before his death. He called and he said, "We're all set to Save America Act. We're all set for the Save America Act," Trump said, without elaborating on what that meant. This comes out of X. And this was from Thomas Hearn. I disagree with Senator Lindsey Graham on a number of issues, but this is how I'm going to choose to remember him. Fighting for the confirmation of Justice Brett Kavanaugh, which he was an absolute total savage on that day. Rest in peace, Lindsey Graham.
Are you aware that at 9:23, on the night of July the 9th, the day you were nominated to the Supreme Court by President Trump, Senator Schumer said, 23 minutes after your nomination, "I will oppose Judge Kavanaugh's nomination with everything I have. I have a bipartisan, and I hope a bipartisan majority will do the same. The stakes are simply too high for anything less." Well, if you weren't aware of it, you are now. Did you meet with Senator Dianne Feinstein on August 20th?
I did meet with Senator Feinstein.
Did you know that her staff had already recommended a lawyer to Dr. Ford?
I did not know that.
Now, before I continue, just a little background on this. Of course, this was Justice Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation hearing, and they were literally throwing everything at him, including the kitchen sink, on so-called grape charges 30 years prior to that confirmation, when he was a college student and no one knew what the hell he did. The multitude of witnesses they brought forward all fell to the wayside, except one, Miss Ford, who says, yeah, he did do it. Couldn't tell you when, couldn't tell you where, couldn't tell you what time of day that was, but yet it did occur 30 years prior, and Graham went on the warpath.
Did you know that her and her staff had this allegations for over 20 days?
I did not know that at the time.
I'm going to play this in the entirety.
If you wanted an FBI investigation, you could have come to us. What you want to do is destroy this guy's life, hold this seat open, and hope you win in 2020. You've said that, not me. You've got nothing to apologize for. When you see Sotomayor and Kagan, tell them that Lindsey said all, because I voted for them. I would never do to them what you've done to this guy. This is the most unethical sham since I've been in politics. And if you really wanted to know the truth, you sure as hell wouldn't have done what you've done to this guy. Are you a gang rapist?
No.
Wow.
The ABA. The one thing I can tell you, you should be proud of. Ashley, you should be proud of this. That you raised a daughter who had the good character to pray for Dr. Ford. To my Republican colleagues, if you vote no, you're legitimizing the most despicable thing I have seen in my time in politics. You want this seat? I hope you never get it. I hope you're on the Supreme Court. That's exactly where you should be. And I hope that the American people will see through this charade. And I wish you well, and I intend to vote for you, and I hope everybody who's fair-minded will.
So Senator Lindsey Graham has died, and I'm doing my best to be respectful about this. Because while I'm sure this is a tough time for the Graham family, this is an absolute win for the people of the United States. The reality is that Lindsey Graham has supported every bad decision by our government over the last 30 years. Like everything that has fucked up our country over the last couple decades, Lindsey Graham was there to support it. So, look, while I feel for his family, it's obviously a very trying time. It's a very emotional time for them. I'm not going to lie and pretend like this man ever did anything good for America, ever. That he just didn't. I mean, shit, what was the last thing he was doing before he passed? He was in Ukraine trying to drum up support for us to spend more money on them. He went to visit them because we had stopped laundering money through Ukraine, and he was looking for excuses to go back to what we were doing. So like I said, look, I feel for his family. I'm sure this is a tragic loss for anyone who knew him, or at least anyone who cared about him. But like I said, as an American citizen, this is an absolute
Preach. Lindsey, preach. Rest in peace. My thoughts. Down that day, he was a total savage. Absolute savage. Nobody saw this kind of Lindsey Graham before or since. He wasn't like that since. So when it comes to his policies of where he chose, there were a lot of things that I was not a fan of. I was a fan of, because I'll tell you what I was a fan of. I was a fan of him protecting the borders, him basically being a stalwart and basically supporting border controls and border security. Absolutely. What I didn't like is foreign wars. There wasn't a war that the man did not like, that he did not support. It didn't matter. If you were fighting with the mailman, guess what? Lindsey's there. If you were fighting with Iran, guess what? Lindsey's there. And of course, meeting up with Zelensky, that clown who basically graped the American people. I can't really say that. It was the President Dementia who graped the American people for over $200 billion and gave it to Ukraine because Zelensky had no problem cashing checks. None. But anywho, rest in peace. Prayers and thoughts to your family. But now the hard work begins, because with Trump, Senate, the votes, who's going to be chosen interim, who's going to be chosen permanently, this is all going to play itself out. And it's big news, especially when it comes to the Save America Act, which in my opinion was going to have difficulty. You saw how much the struggle was during the congressional part. Now in the Senate, where they had a little bit of a slight lead, and now that lead is evaporated only because of clowns like Bill Cassidy, Tom Tillis, and Mitch McConnell, who, by the way, said he slipped and fell, but spent a month in the hospital because he slipped and fell. No, it's called dementia. Anyway, with that being said, I'm Jazz Borganzo. This is What's Next. Want to see more like this? Please leave a comment below. Like it, share, subscribe to it. Hit that notification bell so you guys never miss a thing. Continue spreading the word about the show. Appreciate you guys watching as always, and we'll see you next time. Peace.